Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the weekly press briefing of the Kosovo Specialist Chambers, where we aim to provide journalists with an update on the latest developments at the court and the opportunity to ask questions. In the war crimes case of Hashim Thaçi, Kadri Veseli, Recep Selimi, and Jakub Krasniqi, the trial panel on 24th January rejected a request by the defense to be allowed to appeal a previous decision in which the panel permitted the prosecution to use an item during re-examination of a witness that was not listed on its exhibits list at the time of the renewed questioning. The panel recalled its finding that the re-examination by the prosecution was based on the fact that the document had acquired new relevance after the cross-examination of the witness by the defense. Due to the reactive nature of the renewed questioning, the panel found that the calling party is allowed to use documents that are not on the exhibits list as long as they have been disclosed to the defense sufficiently in advance and do not affect the fair and expeditious conduct of the proceedings or the outcome of the trial. On 28 January, the president of the Specialist Chambers, Judge Ekaterina Trandafilova, assigned a Court of Appeals panel to consider an appeal by Mr. Veseli and Mr. Krasniqi that will be filed against an oral order given by the trial panel. In the order, the trial panel dismissed Mr. Veseli's objection to the trial panel using, during judicial questioning of a witness, a transcript of a prosecution interview with an individual the prosecution had decided it would no longer call to testify. The appeals panel consists of judges Michel Picard, Kai Ambos, and Nina Jürgensen. 4 witnesses testified in court since the last press briefing. Helmut Schreckenbauer served as a medical doctor with the German KFOR in Kosovo between June and August 1999. Forensic pathologist Marek Gasior testified as an expert witness. He had previously testified in the case of Pieter Schala. Nazar Krasniqi is a former KLA member in the Thaçi et al. Case. Counsel was assigned to assist Mr. Krasniqi so that he could seek guidance regarding any potential self-incrimination issues. The panel assured the witness that this evidence would not be used against him in any subsequent prosecution before the Specialist Chambers. According to the prosecution, the witness who started testimony today was abducted by armed men wearing uniform with KLA insignia in 1999 and held and mistreated at various locations. He was released following negotiations with KFOR. The witness testified with protective measures and via video link. Most testimonies were conducted mainly in public session. So far, 119 witnesses have testified in court in this case. The next hearing in this case is scheduled on Monday, 10th February, starting at 9 in the morning. In the case of Hashim Thaçi, Bashkim Smakai, Izni Kilay, Fadil Fazliu, and Hayreddin Kuchi on alleged influencing of witnesses, the pretrial judge on 24th January granted in part a request by the Thaçi defense to extend the deadline for the defense teams to file any preliminary motions to 4th March 2025. The rules provide that an accused may file preliminary motions that, for example, challenge the jurisdiction of the Specialist Chambers, allege defects in the indictment, or seek for an accused to be tried separately rather than jointly with others. The rules provide that such preliminary motions have to be filed within 30 days after the prosecution has disclosed to the defense all evidence that supported the indictment. The initial deadline was on 7th February 2025. On 27 January 2025, the pretrial judge issued a decision finding that there is no actual or potential conflict of interest arising from David Young's assignment as counsel for Mr. Fazliu. The KSC registry had asked the pretrial judge to determine if such assignment could lead to a potential conflict of interest, given that Mr. Young used to be Mr. Salimi's counsel in the Thachi et al. Case, and considering that the offenses Mr. Fazliu is accused of include the alleged influencing of witnesses testifying in the Thachi et al. Case. The pretrial judge found that there is no overlap in terms of the scope of the charges in the two cases and took into consideration the fact that Mr. Young no longer serves as counsel for Mr. Salimi. The panel also noted that Mr. Young had obtained the consent of Mr. Salimi and Mr. Fazliu. In the same decision, the pretrial judge rejected the Fazliu defense's request for an extension of time to respond to all submissions. The pretrial judge found that the defense's argument that the extension of time was needed due to Mr. Fazliu having been deprived of legal representation was misleading, and reminded that Mr. Fazliu has been represented by duty counsel at all times and as such was well able to respond to submissions. On 28 January, the appeals panel denied Isni Kilai's appeal against the pretrial judge's oral decision of 9th December, ordering Mr. Kilai's continued detention. The panel found that Mr. Kilai failed to demonstrate that the pretrial judge was unfair or unreasonable in her assessment that certain risks justifying continued detention still exist. The appeals panel ordered Mr. Kilai to file a public redacted version of his appeal. In the case of Sabit Yanuzi, Ismet Bakhtiari, and Haji Shala, the trial panel on 24 January ordered the continued detention of Ismet Bakhtiari. The panel found that there continued to be a risk that Mr. Bakhtiari may obstruct the progress of proceedings and/or commit further crimes, especially keeping in mind that he has the means and the motive to exert pressure on witness 1 to dissuade him from participating in the proceedings. On 28 January, the defense of Pieter Shala filed its notice of appeal of the reparations order. The document is available on the KSC website. That was all from me. If there are any questions, I'll be happy to respond.